Another day, another tag. And the best part about this tag is that the person who actually tagged me went all, I'm gonna tag Noria because she loves doing tags. Like, I'm telling you people, tags are becoming my brand. Hello everybody, Nora back again, and I'm here to do the no disclaimers book tag, so we'll just go straight to it. The first question says, which trope or tropes in books annoy you the most? And you know, for a long time I was like, oh, maybe insta love, or maybe it's like, you know, the chosen hero or the good guy who's just inherently good type trope. And then I was like, you know what, no, nah, those irritate me. What annoys me has to be the love triangle, because in this age, in this present moment in time, in the year 2019, why are we still having love triangles where we can just all poly? Like, think about it. If you just turn every love triangle into a polyamorous relationship, things will be happy, unless the other person is a douche, in which case, why is the other person in the love triangle in the first place? But if it's a good love triangle, and you know the good type of love triangle, the one that, oh, each one of them have their strengths and each one of them are perfect in their own way, then I suggest, you know, it just ends in poly. Like, I am waiting for the book that will just have, do you know what, fuck this love triangle shit. I'm going to have you all be in a polyamorous relationship. Give me that, please. Okay, so the next question says, which writers do you think are overrated / overhyped? To be honest, I don't know if I can actually answer this question, because a lot of books that is beloved within the YA bookish community, I have not read a lot of those authors, so I can't speak for them. For a long time, I hadn't even read Sarah J. Maas. I just finally read the Akuta series in March, and I loved it, so I would not consider her overhyped, because apparently Throne of Glass is even better, so we can only go up. I've not read any Cassandra Clare books yet, so I don't know if I can consider her overhyped either. Actually, I love Maggie Stiefvater, so I cannot consider that. Veronica Roth, like, I think I would say books that I considered very overrated and very overhyped are your traditional classics books, because these books were written by dead white men ages ago. Except for, you know, our Lord and Savior Alexander Dumas. We all know he was half black, just in case you did not know that. And who wrote one of the greatest revenge stories ever? Count of Monte Cristo. Perfection. But I'm not even going to get into that. The whole point is that I do believe that a lot of classic writers are very overrated and very overhyped, and it's primarily because of the fact that they are white. Because I'm African, right? And even in my country, even in Nigeria, right, we will still be all like, oh, Shakespeare. Like, Shakespeare is required reading for the West African Senior School Examination Council. Do you understand what that means? I have read practically every Shakespeare book because of my exam. So think about it this way. It's not, Chinua Achebe is not required reading, right? Wole Soyinka is not required reading. But Shakespeare, every year for decades, every Nigerian student has to have read at least one Shakespeare book in order to pass their English examinations. Let that sink in. So yes, that is my answer. I'm not going to look at your popular YA authors. I'm looking at those old white men who have been dead for centuries and who are still considered the epitome of literature. Nah fam. Now, and besides, some of them wrote some problematic shit. And when I say problematic, I mean that this shit did not make sense, but it's sold because they were white and they were considered the great genius mind of literature. That's the tea. Okay, so next question. What are the least favorite books you've read since joining Booktube? I might just go with Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur, just because I had seen like some of our poetry on Instagram, and a lot of people raved about it, and I actually did get this book because it was so highly raved, and I was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. And I read it and I'm like, there were some poems I loved and there were some poems that were just kind of basic, and I was like, seriously, this is it. This is what I paid money for. This is what I was anticipating so much. I guess that's just it. The reason why it's one of my least favorites is because it was a pretty disappointing book. It had been so hyped and I expected better for it, and I was just jokes on me. Next question says, a terrible ending that ruined an otherwise quality book. I need to see, you know, an hypnotist to remember all the traumatic books with traumatic endings that I really hated, that I've really read. Oh, traumatic book. I know the book I'm talking. How the fuck did I forget that? The Last Duty by Isidore Okwewo. I remember there was a Q&A, my 250 plus subscribers Q&A. I pointed at the fact that that book, I hated that book. I hated the ending of that book. That book was just so misogynistic bullshit, utter crap garbage that was in the book. Like, the entire book, from the beginning of the book, I was getting so fucking pissed. And I just kept telling myself that, don't worry, Noria. It's talking about, you know, human circumstances and, you know, the decisions we have to make during war times. It will be worth it. The payoff will be worth it. Because I'm like, what the fuck? And then the ending showed up. I'm like, fuck you. We were like, sure, I think he's dead, but still, fuck him. What was Last Duty about? The Last Duty was all about the war, was situated during the Nigerian Civil War. Now, this Last Duty was told from the perspective of a woman, a husband, and the fucking ass jealous neighbor, you know, who hated the husband and who connived and found a way to send the husband like far away, like into war, just so that I could have the opportunity to sleep with the wife in order to, you know, prove a point to said husband, except for the fact that the wife had zero interest in him. So what he did was he slowly isolated her and had her depend on him to manipulate her into sleeping with him. And when she did not, when she instead chose to sleep with someone else, someone he considered less than because the other person was had a limp and was disabled, he was so offended by that, like, oh, she did not choose him, she chose a lesser man. And then when her husband came back, he told her husband, like, I'm telling you the plot, the synopsis of this story, so you do not waste your money or your time. So he told her husband, when her husband comes back finally from the war after 3 years, 3 bloody years where there's zero communication, she has no idea if he's alive, the husband shows up. This lying manipulative prick tells the husband that, oh, by the way, your wife is a slut, your wife did this, your wife did that. And get this, the husband was pissed. The husband walked away. The husband walked into friendly fire. Like, he walked to his death. He walked into friendly fire. They were telling him stop, stop, and he kept walking because, oh, his wife has been defiled. Like, I was just like, and I like to point out that this book was recommended reading when I was 13. No, when I was 14. For that same West African Senior School Examination Council exams I was talking about, yes, I was 14 when I read this. And even my 14-year-old was like, this is utter, complete garbage pile shit. So, maybe there was a good reason for us reading all that Shakespeare. But then again, Shakespeare also wrote some... Do you know what? I can't. No. Yes, Isidore Okwewo. Okay, next question. Which fictional characters do you wish were not killed off? There's a character at the end of Crooked Kingdom that I wish was not... I would give up one of my kidneys to not be killed off. That fucking sucks. I'm currently reading God's Grave. There's a little girl in God's Grave. You know, if you've read the book, you know why I am so upset. There's a little girl in God's Grave that should not have died. I'm telling you, writers like Lee Bardugo and Jay Christoph are the reason why I have trust issues. What are some of your bookish pet peeves? One of my very high bookish pet peeve for me is when you're reading a book and they're describing all the characters, right? And one character is always described as being, you know, tan, golden, touched and kissed by the sun, blah, blah, blah. Another character is always described as blonde and leggy, long-haired, blah, 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 pale skin. Yes, pale skin, long-legged, blonde-haired. And I'm like, okay. And like, the writer repeats this description consistently throughout the entire book. And then it comes to the character, the person of color in the book. And the next thing you see is that, oh, black girl. Just once. Every other character in that book is probably been mentioned like 1,000,001 times. But the black person, the Asian person, the Middle Eastern person, no, it's just one type description and that is it. Like, if you are not going to describe, don't describe. If you're going to overtly keep mentioning the physical attributes, like characteristics of these characters, make it the same across board, please. But yes, that is definitely one very high bookish pet peeve. The second bookish pet peeve I have is when a character you loathe, a villain you loathe, right? Someone who has done all that stupid, horrible shit in a book finally dies and gets a simple, easy death. Like, I'm sorry. Why? What the fuck? I expected your death to be drawn out, motherfucker. I expected you to pee and shit and vomit blood until you die. I expected you to be in pain for 20 days and 20 nights until you die. But now, it's just always something so simple, like they stabbed him in the chest, and I'm like, why? Why? Why does he get a simple stab in the chest? As much as I love Jay Christoph, he's guilty of this as well. Like, why is it a simple slit across the throat? What is happening? Give me something the main villains. Yes, that's my problem. The main villains. Because even Jay Christoph is guilty of this. In Nevernight, in God's Grave, the main villains die too fast and too easy. All the small, low-skill villains, they always get really, really painful death. But the main villain, no. Which is why I hope Dark Dawn rectifies this. Because I want bloody pain. I don't want a simple, easy, quick death. It has to be bloody, it has to be painful, it has to be worth it. So the next question says, what are some books you feel should have more recognition? And I don't think anybody is surprised at this point, but I still have to mention it. The Poppy War by R.F. Kwong. Yes, I know some people have read it. A lot of people have not read it though, and like, this book is perfection. I don't know what else I have to say. You would love Rin, you would hate her. You cannot feel ambivalent towards her. She evokes strong emotions, and right now the emotions I have for her is love, and the emotion I have for this book is love, because this book is... They trained her for a war, she intends to end it. Like, this book has everything you want. Military strategy. It has a morally great character you would root for or you would hate. Depends on where you fit into that. It has magic. It has gods. It has mythology. It has the brutalities of war. It has epic fight scenes and epic victories and heartbreaking defeats. Like, this book would have you feel every single emotion, including vindication, and then at the same time wonder if you have slipped into madness like Rin has. Like, I love this book. I cannot wait for the Dragon Republic, but this book does not get all the love it deserves in the community. Another book I think does not deserve enough love is Here Comes the Sun by Nicole Dennis Benn. Like, this book is based in Jamaica. It tells the story of 3 generations of women and what each one of them have to do to survive, and the heartbreaking consequences of that. And I just love the fact that all these characters are morally grey. All these characters make mistakes, especially Margot. Margot, who you will start the book rooting for and loving, and then end the book wondering what the fuck and hating her, but at the same time understanding why it is that she made the decisions / choices she made. Like, this book does about it all. It talks about skin bleaching, it talks about, you know, prostitution, it talks about the tourism in Jamaica, and how it is that Jamaicans themselves are slowly getting pushed out of their country in order to make way for, you know, white tourists who have the money that they don't have and who can command all the resources that they don't have. Like, this book is amazing, and it definitely does not get enough love. And then there's one of my favorite books of all time, Fairy Tales for Lost Children by Duriye Osman. I still believe wholeheartedly that it does not get all the love it deserves. I forgot to mention, Margot is queer. This book is a collection of short stories that talks about the queer immigrants Somali experience, and also talks about mental health issues. I love the writing. It's beautiful, it's poignant, it's lyrical, and you feel all these emotions. You see yourself reflected in these characters. It opens your mind's eye to a whole other experience that you never knew existed. I don't think anybody else on Booktube has actually ever spoken about this book, and this book is one of my favorite books of all time. Like, this book was and is perfection. And then there's The Secret Lives of Babasegi's Wives by Lola Shoneyin. This gives you an inkling of what it means to be in a polygamous home in Nigeria, because you have Bolanle, a graduate who's very soft-spoken, very beautiful, and she marries this older man, Babasegi, who already has so many other wives. And as you read the books, you wonder why did she marry him? Sure, he loves her, but Babasegi is also pretty traditional, and at the same time is now worried because Bolanle has been married, and for years she still doesn't have any children, even though he has so many other kids with his other wives. And trying to unravel the mystery of why is Bolanle not pregnant, and also why did Bolanle marry Babasegi, and you add the humor, right, and the vividry of the writing. This book is perfection. I saw this performed in a play. That is an experience. Watching this performed as a play is an experience. I love this book. I love this book, and I also think does not get enough love on Booktube, does not. Another book I feel does not get enough love on Booktube is What It Means When a Man Falls from the Sky, which is also a collection of short stories by Leslie Neka Arima. You have fantasy, you have sci-fi, you have contemporary. There's a question. It talks about family, the ties that bind us, the repercussions and the reverberations of what it is that, you know, we do. I have a full-blown review of this book. I will link it up over here, but I love this book. I know some people have spoken about it, but I don't think this book gets enough love or enough publicity because it is so fucking fantastic and I love it. And then there is The Woman Next Door by Yewande Omotosho, which I believe is also one of my favorite books because this book talks about the lives of two old women in their 80s. And I try to remember the last time I read a book, you know, that featured older protagonists, like way older protagonists, and I could not remember. Like, this is the first book I am reading with such older protagonists, and this is yet another book that does not get enough love in Booktube. Like, I still think it's, of course, it's rooted in the fact that how many Booktubers really go out of their way to read African lit. Like, we say diversity, but we mean diversity in American and British authors, and that is the T. But perfection, you would laugh and bust your gut, and I want to see one person read this book and not come and meet me and be like, Noria, I love Hortensia James. Like, one person, just one person. And then finally, She Called Me Woman, Nigeria's Queer Women Speak. I love this book. I am 100% certain that I doubt if there's any other booktuber that has actually even read this book. It's a collection of real life stories told by queer women in Nigeria. Now, the reason why this book is groundbreaking for me is because it's still illegal to be gay in Nigeria, I know, and what it means is that to have the strength to tell your story, to put it out there, to have this published, it's mind-blowing, and it does not get enough love. A lot of these women are very flawed. A lot of them do have old opinions and thoughts and views that are very problematic, but the fact that this book in itself exists, especially because we live in a society that even not just Nigeria, but generally, I do believe that queer men have more of a voice, you know, than queer women. Usually they tend to push queer women out of the conversation. It's not something that they do consciously, right? But I do believe that they do, like, in a public space, in an LGBTQ plus space, at least in Nigeria, and in certain spaces online I've been in, like, men tend to come in and want to, you know, have their voice heard all the time. And just the fact that this exists makes me so happy, because it gives us voices, you know, that we otherwise do not have. Okay, and the next question says, what are your thoughts on censorship and banning books? I believe, like, I don't think there's any booktuber that will be like, oh yeah, sure, I approve of it. Like, no, I believe that books should not be censored, they should not be banned. And I know that a lot of times when society does that, society tries to justify it by saying that, oh, so and so book is problematic and all of that, and so books can turn people wrong. And all I think about it is that we are full functioning, critical thinking human individuals. We should be allowed to make that choice. Banning the book and ensuring that it's not available for us to even read and to come to our own conclusions about the messages and themes it contains, it's an insult to us, and it's an insult to our intelligence. And I believe that there is no excuse, personally, in my opinion, to ban or censor any book. Like, let it be available, let us be the one to make the decision and be like, you know what, I don't want to read this book. We are the ones, we should be the ones with the power, and like trying to justify it and giving it all that, oh, we are doing it for you, we're doing it because of you. I just feel like it's just bullshit. And the last question says, who do you tag? Now, I think practically everybody has probably done this tag, you know, so it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to determine who to tag, but I definitely tag Binta of Positive Writer, Jamie of Jamie Reads, Adriana of Geeky Pages, Katie of Katie's Book Nook, Leah of Where in the World is Leah Jane, Sarah of Novel Serendipity, Emma of A Morose Reader, Ari of Alke Gold, Kate of Chapter Kate, and Lauren of The Novel Lodge. Now, I'm certain that some of the people I just tagged have probably done this tag, but if you haven't, try it out, let me see, and please let me know when you have the video up. I want to see your answers. But that will be that. Let me know in your comments below if you've read any of the underrated books I mentioned, like the books that I feel do not get enough love in Booktube. Let me know if you've read any of those books down in the comments below. Let me know if any of them sound interesting that you might possibly consider reading. Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, please do not forget to give it a big thumbs up. Check out my other videos, subscribe if you want to. I make new videos every Sundays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and I will see you soon. Until then, stay passionate, love books, love yourself. Bye.